G'day and welcome to Sky Racing's coverage of day one of the championships at Royal Randwick. It's time to preview one of the four Group 1s on the day, and it is the Group 1 ATC Derby for 2024. I'm Lewis Willoughby. Alongside me, Brad Gray, who's done the form and is going to find us the winner. Brad, this is a cracking race, as it always is. Could turn into a real slog, though, over the long distance with the wet weather that we're expecting. Yeah,
absolutely. Hello to you, Louis, and everybody else watching out there. It is going to be a real test of stamina, isn't it? So, 3-year-olds, we've got one filly in there, which adds plenty of intrigue, and she's sure to be very popular and well found. But, yeah, you want a horse that is really going to see out a strong 2,400 metres.
Big field assembled. Let's take a look at the first page, and it's headlined by Riff Rocket, who will be ridden by James McDonald. Tom Kitten is one of two runners for Godolphin in the race.
Yeah, Zardozi the other. So we'll flick across to the second page now and you'll see her right down the bottom. Fillies don't have a particularly good record in this race. However, not many try because they typically go that Vinery into an Oaks campaign. So I like that they're trying something a little bit different with her, but you can see there a good makeup as far as the field goes and lots of different form angles as far as horses coming through a Rosehill Guineas, a Tulloch Stakes, and in Zardozi's case, the Vinery.
You're spot on with all of those form angles. Of course, up to 2,400 metres, they've bound to have had a few runs leading into this. And the first of our feature form lines is the Group 1 Vinery Stakes. Zardozi was just no match for that champion New Zealand filly.
Yeah, she is a serious filly, isn't she? Orchestral you speak of there. She was short odds, vindicated that. But keep your eyes on Zardozi there in the Godolphin Blue. Now, I thought she loomed up to win the race, and it was a sprint home. It wasn't run to suit necessarily, and I think she just peaks that last little bit.
2 lengths away. Zardozi getting to the outside at the 250. Tutar La Vida still a length and a half clear from Orchestral, who's grinding away. Zardozi's running on well on the outside. Here's a big finish. Tutar La Vida still in front. Now Orchestral. Her class is starting to shine through, and Orchestral raced to the lead and takes out the Vinery Stud Stakes. Orchestral running down Tutar La Vida with Zardozi in third.
So you saw the yellow silks of Tutar La Vida going seemingly quite quick in front there, made it a strong staying test.
Yeah, so it was a funny race in that they crawled in the early stages and then Nash obviously spotted an opportunity, took off, put a bit of pressure into the race and almost pinched it in that regard. So Zardozi, I thought her run had merit. You go back to what she did last campaign over the spring, and on the quick back up, she won the VRC Oaks. So there is a sense of symmetry, and we know that trainer James Cummings loves his history, and it's no coincidence that here she is again on the quick back up.
Okay, the classic lead-in for the Derby is the Group 2 Tulloch Stakes, and they come here 7 days later to try and win this Group 1. What did you make of the running of the Group 2 Tulloch this year?
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because recent history does suggest that this is a key form reference for the Derby. So once upon a time, it was the Rosehill Guineas, pretty much the exclusion of all other races, whereas a Tulloch, a lot of the time you're seeing them as that secondary tier of stayers, and rightly so, but what they've got is they've got that fitness base. So a really good recent record. I'll draw your attention to Wymark. He looks the obvious one. He's been up for such a long time, but he just continues to get better.
Then Noisy Boy, Salt Coach, wide out. Wymark takes the lead now at the 150. Wymark a length clear from Kintyre, and then Noisy Boy knuckling down, but Wymark, he's going to make it 4 in a row. Wymark beats Noisy Boy, Salt Coach third, and Kintyre fourth in the Tulloch Stakes.
So Wymark obviously pretty strong there in the end, but so was Noisy Boy, who goes around, I think, at a bit of a price this Saturday.
Yeah, they both paid the late entry fee, so they originally weren't nominated for the Derby, so maybe caught the connections a little bit by surprise, but I think they both earned their spot in the field.
Glad you think so. Also came through that race, and here is what we mentioned off the top 5 of the last 7 winners of the Derby ran in the Tulloch the week prior, but as we saw from the field at the very start, there's only 2 or 3 of them coming through the Tulloch this year.
Yeah, and the interesting point on the back of that is to suggest that, or to also point out that, so you've got 5 of the past 7 winners of the Australian Derby come through the Tulloch Stakes, but 4 of those were on tracks rated soft 7 or worse. So that's no coincidence, because you're getting those horses on the quick back up, that good fitness base. They're obviously fit, they're obviously flying, and Wymark ticks a lot of boxes in that regard.
Let's have a look at the dominating form line for this year's ATC Derby, and it is the Rosehill Guineas that was run over the 2,000 metres, and a pretty special win from already a multiple Group 1 winner.
Yeah, Riff Rocket, he's well named, isn't he? Right down the outside, and he was simply too sharp for his rivals. So the interesting point with him is that Chris Waller doesn't think he's a genuine stayer, so he just got it on class there last spring. Winning the Derby in Victoria. He's a little bit too sharp. I also like the run of Cheerwolf. He just hits a bit of a flat spot, but just look at him come again through the line.
Immediacy and Capfarah. They move up at the 300 and Capfarah put the head in front. Now, where are the chasers? Tom Kitten on the inside. Riff Rocket on the outside is lengthening now. Here comes Riff Rocket charging down the outside, and Riff Rocket will win the Rosehill Guineas. Chaelwolf second. Capfarah clung on for third.
So great win from Riff Rocket, but Brad, there's just been a bit of a boom around Chaelwolf all throughout the autumn. At one point, I just get the feeling it'll put its hand up and win a big race.
Yeah, there's a real sense of timing about him. I know Joe Pride's always held him in really high regard. I don't think a wet track holds any fears, and just these last 50 metres here, once he is headed, he's coming again through the line. So I think 2,400 metres is right up his alley to this point.
So in terms of the Derby through the Rosehill Guineas, the last time it was done was Mongolian Khan, who ran 5th in the Rosehill Guineas before winning the Derby, and then I think went on to win a Caulfield Cup as well.
Yeah, the Kiwi domination, wasn't it, as far as those 2,000 metre and 2,400 metre races goes. But interesting enough, because you would think the default lead up to a race like this would be the Rosehill Guineas, but you've got to go back, 9 years ago now. So there is a bit of a movement away from that. Not to say that that won't prove the right reference there on Saturday, but it's certainly something to keep in mind.
Hot race. Do you think there's perhaps a future Caulfield Cup winner in this year's Derby?
I think there could be, yep. And if there is, I think it might be Zardozi. I know that James Cummings and Godolphin hold her in such high regard. Not a lot of her, but she does fit a big engine in there somewhere. Jamie Carr does the steering. I've got her as the top pick and actually the best bet across the entire meeting. We're going to mix it up a bit. We're going to go with the trifecta. We've got Zardozi in there. We've got Wymark coming through the Tulloch Stakes. And I do think Chaelwolf can turn the tables on Riff Rocket and maybe add a little bit of value there into your trifecta.
It's going to be a great race to play a trifecta with those World Pools in operation at Randwick on Saturday. You can catch the Group 1 ATC Derby live here on Sky Racing.